Okay, so moving on to the hand strength section here, we have two graphs. One's for win odds and one is for pot odds. Pot odds and win odds both are represented by these graphs, and when you're in a hand, you kind of want both of them to be high or tall. All right, so I have King 10 here. I might have come in on that had somebody not raised, but really this is one of those hands that can get you into trouble. So I'm just going to fold out of that one for now. Now, as you can see, my expected value on that is 0.01, so it is a positive hand marginally. Expected value is a mathematical calculation, basically, that shows how a hand performs long term, showing you how often that could win. Lucky me, I got pocket aces again. What a great tournament to be showing you this on. Group 1 hand, and it has a 2.6 expected value. So once again, I'm going to try, and there was a raise before me and a call. So I'm going to try and isolate, to one player. So I'm going to put in a raise here. And as you can see, my pot odds to call are 2.5 to 1. I'm not going to call. I'm going to re-raise. So hopefully I get at least one caller here. Ah. Now, as you can see, my win odds were high there. My win odds for a 9-deuce offsuit, not so much. As I was saying, the pot odds is more mathematical. It's mathematically based on how much you have to call compared to how much is in the pot. Win odds are a bit more theoretical. You don't want to rely fully on those. It's just a guideline because the strength of your hand can be seriously diminished once you're in a hand and the flop completely neutralizes the strength of your hand. And the hand groups are based on the David Sklansky hand group ranking system. And you can see that the 10-deuce offsuit is actually a group 9 hand. So that's the worst it can be. It goes from groups 1 to group 9, I believe. All right, we'll come back to this hand strength section in a bit because there's more information that comes up there. The real guts of Tournament Indicator comes in the profiling area. So the profile grid is really the nuts and bolts of Tournament Indicator, and it's where you're going to be basing a lot of your moves and your plays upon, especially later on in the tournament. So while we're sitting here waiting to play some good hands, I'll show you a bit more about this profiling section. So if I click on Tournament Indicator, remember the menu bar is going to come up. But I'm going to press this little plus section down here, and that's going to give a pop-out profile grid. You can use this if you perhaps want a better view. The king and queen I'll fold here for now. If you perhaps want a better view of your opponents, you can always pop this out at any time. And after it pops out, you'll see that this switches to the match card display. And it also alternates pre-flop or post-flop to a drawing grid. Let's concentrate on the profile grid here right now. Here are the names of all the players at the table and also icons that are attached to them. Some of these players I might have played with before, and so they already have an icon attached to them. The ones with a question mark, well, we don't necessarily have enough information on them. So let's fix that first. I just want to show you how the fastest possible profiling information from Tournament Indicator. So I'll go to Settings in the menu here. And if you can see down here in the settings panel, it said minimum number of hands required to profile players. Well, when you get Tournament Indicator, this may very well say something like 40 hands. In tournaments, you cannot wait 40 hands. You may have 40 hands on a few players, especially when it gets down to, the last few tables. But at the beginning of a tournament, you'll have no overall profile for your opponents if you have that at 40 hands. So I like to have this. It used to be limited to 10, now it's limited to 8. So I'll just leave that at 8 and then press apply. Okay, so I'm just gonna close this and we'll go back to my stats panel here. There's some little tabs at the end of the profile grid, so you can switch back and forth from the profile grid to the odds panel and the match cards panel. Also, there's this little H button. Well, that's showing the history of some players. So you can see that when I turn history on, that I do have some experience with one or two other players here. So a profile icon came up. Keep in mind, though, that tournament structure always demand that players play differently at different stages and different circumstances. So the history feature might show how, a player plays at the beginning of a tournament, which is very different than the final table, for example. The more information we get from, the player's activities, the more these profile icons filled out.